Our top focus this morning, former U.S. President Donald Trump has won the New Hampshire primary, first in America primaries, that is. With this, Trump has established himself as the first choice of Republicans.
Well, and he's cleared his path for Republican nomination at the outset. But rival Nikki Haley, who is Trump's lone challenger now in the Republican race, says that the contest is far from over.
I want to congratulate Donald Trump on his victory tonight. He earned it, and I want to acknowledge that. New Hampshire is first in the nation. It is not the last in the nation. This race is far from over. There are dozens of states left to go.
Numbers so far show Donald Trump sweeping the Republican contest and delivering a fresh setback to his rival Nikki Haley. The magnitude of Trump's victory is still coming into focus, but the lead is not as much as was the case in Iowa, where, of course, Shivan, we saw that it was a very clear victory for Trump.
Yes.
And Nikki Haley has closed the gap on Trump in the head-to-head New Hampshire race.
Now, out of the 24% votes counted in the Republican race so far, 53% are in Trump's support, while 45% voters back Haley. Now, Haley was counting on moderates and independents in the state who outnumbered the registered party members to pull off an upset for Trump. Nikki Haley has declared that she will not quit the presidential nomination race, even if she loses New Hampshire to Trump. Now, this is what she had initially said, and she's sticking to it even now.
Right, and Haley came third in Republican race in Iowa last week. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who came second in Iowa, has quit the race, has decided to support Trump instead. Now, Trump won a crushing victory, as we mentioned earlier, in the first contest in Iowa last week. And now he did the same in New Hampshire. Trump now seems to be guaranteeing his presidential nomination. No Republican has ever won both the opening contests and not secured the party nomination.
Now, Republican primaries will send 22 bound delegates to the party's national convention. They will be voting whether for Haley or for Trump as per the results from the states. And in the Democrats' camp, of course, incumbent President Joe Biden has won the primary with close to an 80% majority as a write-in candidate. An internal party dispute over the primary's date led Biden off the ballot paper. National Democrats made South Carolina the first official state on its nominating calendar. But New Hampshire's party chose to stick with Tuesday's state-run primary. No delegates will be awarded from the contest.
And for more on this, we're now being joined by VOA correspondent Chris Casqueo, live from New Hampshire. Thank you so much for joining us, Chris. Now, my first question to you is, of course, all exit polls show Trump in the lead. Of course, we know that this is a clear win for Donald Trump as much. However, it's important to mention that not by the same margin as which he won in Iowa. Now, what I want to understand is, what does this mean, of course, one for Trump going forward, as well as for Nikki Haley, who's come in second? Because these two contests are usually seen as the litmus test for who will actually be the Republican presidential nominee.
Right. Let's give you some of the latest numbers. With about a third of the vote in, 33% of the vote in, Trump's margin is 53.9. He has 53.9% of the vote, and Nikki Haley has 45.1% of the vote. Now, let's consider that she was behind in every poll by 10 to 20 points. So anything within a 10-point margin, her camp could sell as a close second and could justify her telling her donors and her backers and voters in subsequent primaries that she should stay in the race, and she still offers an alternative to Donald Trump, and she's a viable alternative to Donald Trump. But Trump, for his part, is saying that he is going to be the nominee, and some of the exit polling says that, from Fox News, that 4 out of 10 voters who showed up here in New Hampshire today say that immigration was the most important issue and why they backed Trump. And 3 in 10 of the voters in that Fox News exit poll say the economy was the most important issue. Haley was trying to present herself as the moderate candidate for a moderate electorate here in New Hampshire. The number of undeclared voters 344,000 actually outnumbers the number of registered Democrats or registered Republicans here. So it was really seen as her best chance to win a primary, and in subsequent primaries that are coming up, she is polling more than at least 30 points behind Donald Trump.
So that was essentially what I was wanting to understand from you next. Of course, South Carolina is next, and Nikki Haley has made it clear that she does not want to give up. This is not the end for her. But even though she's coming in as a close second, at least as per exit polls in New Hampshire, do you feel the other primaries here, Nikki Haley still holds some kind of a tough chance for Trump?
Well, it's going to be an uphill battle for Nikki Haley because on the Republican side, South Carolina has a much more evangelical and conservative electorate than New Hampshire, which is seen as a moderate state and really seen as Nikki Haley's best chance to win a primary.
Right, Chris, I also want to understand, even among his supporters, some exit polls do suggest that there is a division over whether Trump would be fit for office if convicted. Can Trump's legal troubles weigh him down?
Well, so far we haven't seen that they have weighed him down. In fact, Trump seems to be using the courtroom as campaign stops. I mean, he was in court last week during his defamation trial in the E. Jean Carroll case, and he didn't have to be there, but he was there because he really wanted to make a spectacle of things. So, and his approval ratings among Republicans, among his likely voters, seem to go up anytime one of his court cases is in the news. But he has a lot on his plate legally. He has the case in Georgia. He has the immunity case before the U.S. Supreme Court, and then Jack Smith's case, the special prosecutor's case in D.C.
Chris, going forward, I just wanted to get your thoughts on this. Is a combination of Trump's loyalists and his thrust on the economy and immigration, is that enough for him to win this all the way through, even if he's through from the Republican House? Is it enough for him to win the seat back?
Well, we'll have to see. You know, Trump and Biden are polling close in most polls. They're neck and neck, although some polls suggest that Trump is leading in the key battleground states that usually decide the elections. But Nikki Haley had pitched herself as the candidate that could beat Biden, and the polls showed that, at least some of the polls that are out there now, show that she was leading Biden by a more substantial margin than Trump. So she had really positioned herself as the candidate on the Republican side who could beat Trump. So we'll have to see what happens as these nominating primaries go on.
So all isn't lost yet. Of course, we are going to be tracking all this closely with you on ground. Thank you so much for joining in, Chris Cascio, who's from Voice of America, and always a pleasure speaking with you.